The greatest showman on earth was also a master of finance, and his secrets are more relevant now than ever. When you hear the name P.T. Barnum, what springs to mind? For most, it's the dazzling spectacle of the circus, the majestic elephants, the gravity-defying acrobats, the vibrant costumes, the booming voice of the ringmaster proclaiming the greatest show on earth. We picture a flamboyant character, always on the edge of the unbelievable, a man whose life was a continuous, magnificent performance, a master of delightful deception and grand illusions. His very name evokes an era of unbridled spectacle and larger-than-life entertainment. But what if I told you that this very same P.T. Barnum, the architect of amusement and wonder, was also a surprisingly sober, almost austere, financial philosopher? What if the man who built an empire on spectacle and showmanship also laid down some of the most practical, no-nonsense principles for acquiring, managing, and sustaining wealth that are arguably more pertinent in our hyper-accelerated digital age than they were in his own? Picture this rapid montage in your mind's eye: the gilded cages and sequined performers of Barnum's circus, the roar of the crowds and the smell of popcorn now quickly transition to the frenetic dance of stock tickers across a trading screen, the cold, hard plastic of a credit card being swiped, the intricate algorithms predicting market shifts, the ever-present shadow of student loan debt, or the alluring promise of crypto fortunes made and lost in a blink. The roaring crowds of the 19th century fade into the silent, anxious clicks of online banking in the 21st. We're living in a world of unprecedented financial complexity, where the old rules seem to vanish as quickly as new trends emerge, and the pursuit of wealth often feels like a scramble against overwhelming odds. And yet here we stand, pondering the wisdom of a man from an era of horse-drawn carriages and gaslight. A man who, in his slim but potent volume, The Art of Money Getting, laid out a framework for financial success that isn't about market speculation or venture capital, but about fundamental human behaviors and ethical practices. He talks about choosing your vocation wisely, about perseverance, about knowing your business inside and out, about advertising honestly and judiciously. He champions economy and saving, warns against debt, and even offers advice on the critical importance of selecting good associates and giving to charity not just for altruism, but as a sound business principle. His advice isn't flashy, it's bedrock. It's the kind of sensible wisdom your most prudent grandparent might give you, distilled by a man who built immense wealth from scratch, not once, but multiple times, even after facing financial ruin. So, let me ask you directly, what if the golden rules for making money haven't changed in 150 years? What if, beneath the intricate layers of modern finance, the fundamental mechanisms for building personal wealth and achieving independence remain exactly as simple, powerful, and timeless as P.T. Barnum articulated them? Are we overcomplicating things, chasing the latest fad, when the real secrets to lasting prosperity were penned by a showman over a century ago? In this series, we're going to peel back the layers of the showman and uncover the shrewd financial architect. We're going to dive deep into P.T. Barnum's remarkably insightful, almost counterintuitively practical framework for achieving financial independence. It's not a magic trick, no secret formula for overnight riches. Instead, it's a collection of golden rules, forged in the crucible of real-world experience, that offer a surprisingly robust and adaptable pathway to financial well-being, even in our turbulent times. Get ready to rethink everything you thought you knew about money, through the surprising lens of the greatest showman. Welcome. You know P.T. Barnum. The name conjures images of three-ring circuses, grand spectacles, and perhaps a touch of sucker-born every-minute lore. But peel back the glitter and the showmanship, and you find a mind far more profound and principled than just a master showman. We're diving into his surprisingly insightful and practical guide, The Art of Money Getting, or Golden Rules for Making Money. Published in 1880, this isn't some dusty relic. It's a distilled wisdom from 50 years of Barnum's experience as a shrewd, relentless entrepreneur. He built an empire not just on curiosity and spectacle, but on foundational business principles and, critically, on character, understanding human nature to build sustainable ventures. Now, This isn't going to be a simple audiobook reading where you passively listen. Think of it as a humanized, interactive exploration, a bridge between two centuries. We'll be pulling out direct quotes, some golden nuggets straight from Barnum's pen, powerful lines like "the man who is in the right place will get on," or "I would go without a coat 6 months, rather than to buy one on credit." Then, we'll place them into our modern context. We'll dissect what he truly meant, how his advice, often blunt, applies today in our hyper-connected, fast-paced world. And yes, I'll be throwing in my own personal reflections, moments where I've seen his principles play out, for better or worse, in my own life and in the business landscape. It's about bringing these enduring truths to life, making them actionable for you, right now. In an era obsessed with get-rich-quick schemes, viral trends, and the next big hack promising instant millions, Barnum's character-based approach feels like a breath of fresh air. He offers no shortcuts or magic formulas, but lays out golden rules, principles rooted in integrity, perseverance, hard work, and common sense. He covers finding the right vocation, avoiding debt, using the best tools, and effective advertising. More than tactics, he stresses the kind of person you need to be, someone who does whatever you do it with all your might, avoids getting above your business, and preserves your integrity. His emphasis is on acquiring, keeping wealth, and cultivating attributes for lasting success, building a solid foundation, not chasing fleeting fortune. So, what can you expect from our journey through Barnum's timeless wisdom? We'll explore themes like finding your true calling, diligently avoiding debt, and the power of perseverance. We'll cover honest advertising and why integrity is an indispensable business imperative. We'll unpack his advice on self-reliance, how to depend upon your own exertions, and the dangers of scattering your forces. We'll even touch on make money for others, revealing success's reciprocal nature. Each chapter offers a fresh perspective, a chance to internalize these enduring lessons, culminating in an actionable plan at each segment's end, concrete steps you can take to apply these timeless principles in your life. Starting today, prepare to look beyond the circus tent and discover the strategic genius behind the showman. Let's begin. Okay, let's dive into Barnum's first golden rule, the necessity of choosing the right vocation. Barnum, in his characteristically blunt way, states it plainly: unless a man enters upon the vocation for which he is adapted by nature, he will fail. It's a powerful declaration. He's not talking about just getting a job, but finding your true calling, aligning with your innate strengths and passions. Think about it. We've all seen people who are clearly in the wrong line of work. They struggle, they resent it, and they rarely achieve true excellence. Barnum recognized this fundamental truth. He believed that to truly prosper, you must be in a field where your talents naturally blossom. He emphasizes that you cannot succeed in a vocation which you detest. This isn't just about happiness, though that's a bonus. It's about efficiency, dedication, and the ability to outwork and outthink others, because the work itself energizes you rather than drains you. When your work feels less like a chore and more like play, that's when magic happens. When you genuinely enjoy what you do, you delve deeper, you learn more, you innovate without even trying. You're not counting the hours, you're captivated by the process. Barnum argues that this alignment leads directly to excellence. You become the best at what you do because you're motivated to master it. It's like a natural genius for a particular craft, whether it's trading, healing, writing, or building. He says, whatever you do it with all your might, and that to succeed in business, a man must have his mind, heart, and soul in it. This becomes almost effortless when you're in the right vocation. Now, Barnum's second rule builds directly on the first: select the right location. For him, this was paramount. He saw countless individuals with potential flounder simply because they were trying to grow their business in an environment ill-suited for it. If you're a fantastic fisherman, setting up shop in the middle of a desert won't yield many catches, no matter how skilled you are. Barnum advised going where there is an opening, where your chosen vocation can thrive due to demand, resources, or less competition. In Barnum's era, location meant a physical place, a bustling city market, a specific street for a particular trade, or a frontier town ripe for development. But let's bring this into our modern world. Today, location still includes physical spaces, of course. A local bakery needs foot traffic, a rural artisan a tourist hotspot. But increasingly, our location is also digital. Consider the internet as an expansive landscape of potential locations. Are you an online coach? Your location might be a specific social media platform where your ideal clients gather, or a niche forum dedicated to your expertise. Are you a digital artist? Your location could be an art-sharing site, an e-commerce platform, or a Patreon community. For many of us, our business environment is now less about bricks and mortar, more about algorithms, online communities, and search engine optimization. Selecting the right digital location means finding where your target audience congregates, where your skills are valued, and where you can effectively reach those who need what you offer. It's about planting your digital flag in fertile ground. Ultimately, these two rules are inseparable, like two sides of the same coin, or perhaps, like a seed in its soil. You can have the most robust, promising seed, your natural talents and chosen vocation, but if you plant it in barren ground, it won't flourish. Conversely, the richest soil in the world won't yield a crop without a viable seed. Barnum's wisdom: find the right seed, then diligently find the optimal soil for it to take root, grow, and bear fruit. It's about merging your innate potential with an environment that actively supports its realization. This strategic combination, choosing your calling and positioning yourself correctly, is Barnum's bedrock. It's the foundation for all other money-getting principles, allowing you to truly start building. All right, welcome back. In our last chapter, we talked about the importance of choosing the right calling, laying the groundwork for your financial journey. Now, we're about to dive headfirst into what Barnum considers one of the greatest threats to that journey, arguably the most insidious enemy of wealth itself: debt. And let me tell you, if you take one thing from this entire series, let it be this chapter. This is where, for many of us, the dream of financial independence often hits a brick wall, or, worse, gets us spinning in circles. Barnum doesn't mince words when it comes to debt. He sees it not just as a financial burden, but as a moral and psychological one. He states, and I want you to really let this sink in: debt robs a man of his self-respect and makes him almost despise himself. Think about that for a moment. It's not just about the money owed, it's about the erosion of your inner sense of worth. When you're constantly beholden to creditors, when you're always playing catch-up, it chips away at your dignity. It places you in a position of subservience, making you less of your own master. Barnum paints debt as a yoke of bondage, and it's a powerful image because that's precisely what it feels like: a heavy wooden beam pressing down on your shoulders, connecting you to an obligation that limits your movement, your choices, your freedom. Now, it's important to clarify something here because modern finance often talks about good debt versus bad debt. Barnum, writing in his era, was overwhelmingly against debt as a general principle, particularly for consumption. He's talking about things like borrowing for luxuries, or taking on credit to keep up with the Joneses, or simply spending more than you earn without a clear path to repayment. This kind of debt, for depreciating assets or instant gratification, is the true yoke of bondage he so vehemently warns against. It's what keeps people poor. You're essentially selling your future time and labor at a discount to fund your present desires. He does acknowledge, with extreme caution, that an already established and reputable business might obtain credit to expand if they have a solid foundation and a proven track record. This isn't about borrowing to start from nothing or to take a wild gamble. It's about using capital to accelerate an already successful, secure enterprise. But even then, his primary advice remains: be self-reliant. Don't endorse notes for others. Don't take risks you can't absolutely secure. His general tone is one of profound skepticism towards any debt, emphasizing that true independence comes from avoiding it altogether. The vast majority of people, trying to get ahead, should consider any form of borrowing, especially for personal consumption, as dangerous territory. Imagine yourself on a treadmill. You're running, you're expending energy, your legs are moving at a furious pace. But you're not actually going anywhere, are you? That, my friends, is what it feels like to be caught in the cycle of debt, particularly when you're just working to pay off interest. All that effort, all those hours, all that mental energy, and you're essentially running in place. You're not building wealth, you're not investing in your future, you're simply treading water, trying desperately to stay afloat. Your time, your most precious non-renewable asset, is being spent not on building your dreams, but on servicing past choices. It's an exhausting, demoralizing cycle that prevents you from ever truly getting ahead. So, how do we break free, or better yet, avoid this trap entirely? Barnum offers a formula so simple, so undeniably logical, it's almost painfully obvious, yet so many of us struggle with it. His golden rule, the bedrock principle for money getting, is this: spend less than you earn. That's it. Income minus expenses must equal a positive number. A surplus. This surplus is your freedom fund. It's the capital you have to invest to save, to secure your future, to take advantage of opportunities. Without this positive margin, you are, by definition, either stagnating or sinking deeper into that yoke of bondage. Barnum understood that true financial power comes not from how much you make, but from how much you keep. And the only way to consistently keep more is to meticulously manage your outgoing money so it never exceeds your incoming. This isn't just about frugality, it's about discipline, foresight, and a profound respect for your future self. It's the path to self-respect, rather than self-despise. Welcome back, fellow travelers on the path to prosperity. In our last chapter, we laid the groundwork for honest ambition, but now, we dive headfirst into the very engine that propels that ambition forward: relentless effort and unwavering resolve. This isn't about mere talent, you see, or some fleeting spark of genius. Barnum, in his characteristic no-nonsense style, makes it abundantly clear that the true driver of success is a deeply ingrained commitment to work, combined with an iron will to keep going, no matter the obstacles. He paints a vivid picture of this relentless spirit when he advises us to work and hope, but never be discouraged. Think about that for a moment. It's not just about doing the work, it's about doing it with an optimistic expectation, even when things look bleak. It's about understanding that setbacks aren't endpoints, but merely detours or even tests of your commitment. Barnum knew, perhaps better than anyone, that the road to any significant achievement is paved with challenges. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't often boils down to who can stand back up one more time than they've been knocked down. This isn't just about showing up. It's about showing up with a heart full of hope, even when the odds feel stacked against you. This philosophy of unyielding effort extends to a crucial rule: whatever you do, do it with all your might. This isn't some polite suggestion, it's a directive. Barnum saw the danger in diluting one's efforts, of spreading oneself too thin across too many ventures, or approaching a single task with only half a heart. He warns against becoming a jack of all trades, master of none, a phrase that, while not coined by him, perfectly encapsulates his disdain for superficial engagement. He understood that true mastery, and therefore true success, comes from a laser-like focus, from pouring every ounce of your energy, intellect, and dedication into a singular pursuit. You can't build an empire by dabbling, you build it brick by brick, with full, undivided attention. When you commit to something, commit fully. Leave no room for half-hearted attempts or divided loyalties. Barnum himself was the walking embodiment of this principle, especially when faced with what most would consider utter ruin. Imagine this: you've built a magnificent institution, a cultural landmark that attracts thousands daily, a testament to your life's work. And then, one day it burns to the ground. Not once but twice. His American Museum, a marvel of entertainment and education, was consumed by flames. For an ordinary person, such a catastrophe would be the end, a crushing blow from which they'd never recover. But Barnum? He didn't just mourn his losses. He picked himself up, dusted off the ashes, and started planning the next, even grander, venture. He understood that his capital wasn't just in bricks and mortar, but in his own indomitable spirit, and his ability to innovate and persevere. He applied that same all-or-nothing might to rebuilding, refusing to be discouraged, and ultimately emerging stronger. His story isn't just a historical anecdote, it's a living testament to the power of unwavering resolve in the face of absolute adversity. Now, let's fast forward to our hyper-connected, often distracted 21st century. Barnum's 19th century advice about doing things with all your might resonates profoundly with what modern thinkers call deep work. It's the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. In Barnum's era, the distractions might have been different, but the core challenge remains: how do we achieve peak performance and true mastery in a world constantly vying for our attention? He would scoff at our endless multitasking, at the fragmented attention we give to important projects, while simultaneously checking emails, social media, and a dozen other things. He knew instinctively that true progress comes not from doing many things poorly, but from doing one thing exceptionally well. To succeed, we must cultivate the discipline to shut out the noise, to fully immerse ourselves in our chosen tasks, just as he immersed himself in building his spectacles. His golden rules, especially this one, serve as a timeless antidote to the shallow work and fractured focus that plague our modern professional lives. It's a powerful reminder that some things never change, and the dedication to wholehearted effort is paramount, now as much as it ever was. All right, let's dive into something that truly underpins Barnum's entire philosophy, and, frankly, any successful endeavor: the absolute necessity of self-reliance. This isn't just a suggestion, it's a foundational belief for anyone hoping to truly master their financial destiny. Barnum dedicates an entire, powerfully titled section to this: depend upon your own personal exertions. It's a simple phrase, yet it carries so much weight, especially in today's world. In an age where it's easy to look for shortcuts, to hope for a lucky break, or even worse, to wait for someone else to pave the way, Barnum's message is a stark, bracing splash of cold water. He's telling us unequivocally that your success, your future, the very fabric of your financial well-being, rests squarely on your shoulders. You are the engineer of your own fortune. Frankly, nobody else is going to lay that track for you with the same precision and care that you can. Barnum observes, and I quote, "Many persons are waiting for dead men's shoes to get a start in the world. This is bootless." He had no patience for that kind of passive expectation. He wanted you actively building, not passively waiting. Now, this doesn't mean you can't hire people. Of course you can, and often you should. As your ventures grow, delegation becomes absolutely crucial. But here's the critical distinction. One, Barnum would emphatically agree with: you can delegate tasks, but you absolutely cannot delegate your own engagement. You cannot delegate your understanding of your business, your vision, or your ultimate responsibility for its direction and health. Barnum hammers this home by saying, and I love this quote for its timeless wisdom, "The eye of the employer is better than the hands of a dozen others." Think about that for a moment. It's your keen oversight, your personal dedication, your intimate knowledge of the moving parts, that ultimately ensures things are done right, that issues are spotted before they fester, and that opportunities aren't missed. If you're not deeply involved, if you're not truly understanding what's happening on the ground, then even the most capable team can only do so much. Your personal understanding is the irreplaceable engine. Everyone else is helping to fuel and steer, but you hold the map and the ultimate direction. Barnum had absolutely no patience for those who relied on chance or circumstance as their primary strategy. He saw the profound danger in people waiting for dead men's shoes, hoping an inheritance would drop into their lap and magically solve all their problems. He cautioned vehemently against those who simply wait for something to turn up, because, let's be honest, something rarely turns up without a whole lot of proactive turning on your part. This kind of passive waiting, he argued, breeds not only idleness but also a fundamental fragility. Relying on luck is a gamble, and while life certainly has its unpredictable elements, you simply cannot build a sustainable, robust financial future on hope alone. It's a recipe for profound disappointment, leaving you vulnerable and utterly dependent on external factors entirely outside your control. It's abdicating your power. Instead, Barnum pushes us to look inward, to cultivate that unwavering belief in our own capacity, our own ingenuity. He essentially tells us that the best, most reliable help you'll ever get comes from your own two hands, your own clear, strategic mind, and your own indefatigable spirit. It's about rolling up your sleeves, getting dirty, putting in the consistent, smart work, and taking direct, undeniable ownership of your path. That unwavering commitment to personal exertion, to being the primary, active driver of your success, is what truly sets Barnum's golden rules apart. It's not just about making money, it's about earning it through deliberate, self-propelled action, forging your own destiny with every decision and every effort. And that, to me, is an incredibly empowering and liberating philosophy. You know, in our journey through Barnum's golden rules, we've talked about ambition, about knowing your business, about saving and avoiding debt. But what about the actual gears and levers that turn your money-getting machine? This is where Barnum dives into what he calls using the best tools and learning something useful. And believe me, these aren't just archaic tips for 19th century merchants, they're profoundly relevant today. When Barnum talks about tools, he's not just referring to a carpenter's hammer or a farmer's plow, though he certainly includes those. He views tools expansively. For him, a tool is anything that helps you do your work more efficiently, more effectively, and with higher quality. He argues that using the best tools isn't an expense, it's an investment. Think about it: a farmer with shoddy equipment spends more time, exerts more effort, and ultimately yields a poorer harvest. Barnum puts it plainly: poor tools make poor work, and poor work don't pay. He extends this to the best books, the best schools, and the best teachers, even the best system and arrangements. He understood that quality implements, whether physical or intellectual, save time, reduce frustration, and lead to superior results and, critically, more abundant returns. Now, fast forward to today. What does using the best tools look like for us? It's not always about a physical object. For a graphic designer, it might be subscribing to the latest, most powerful software, or investing in a high-resolution monitor that renders colors perfectly. For a content creator like me, it's about having a reliable microphone that captures clear audio or editing software that streamlines the production process. For a coder, it's a powerful computer and access to the best development environments. For a business owner, it could be a state-of-the-art CRM system, a robust accounting software, or even that executive coaching program that sharpens your leadership skills. These aren't just purchases. They are strategic investments that enhance your productivity, elevate your output quality, and position you ahead of the competition. Skimping on these critical resources often results in wasted time, inferior products or services, and ultimately missed opportunities for growth and profitability. Barnum's message here is crystal clear: equip yourself properly, and your work will reflect it, as will your bank account. This leads us directly into another crucial chapter of Barnum's wisdom: learn something useful. And let me tell you, this is where Barnum's no-nonsense, practical mindset really shines through. He wasn't big on purely ornamental knowledge, the kind that might impress at a dinner party, but doesn't actually help you earn a living or contribute something tangible to the world. He vigorously promoted acquiring something useful, something practical. He criticized parents who instilled in their children the notion that useful labor was somehow demeaning. Instead, he championed self-reliance and the ability to stand on your own 2 feet, urging parents to teach your daughters something that they can earn a living by. He spoke of the value of a good accountant, a skilled mechanic, a practical bookkeeper, or a reliable clerk. To Barnum, no profession or trade should be above any young man or woman if it is useful and honest. In our modern context, this translates to prioritizing skills that are in demand and have direct applicability. Think about it: mastering digital marketing strategies, becoming proficient in data analysis, learning to code in a high-demand language like Python or JavaScript, understanding project management methodologies, or even developing strong emotional intelligence and communication skills for leadership roles. These are not just academic exercises. They are practical, marketable competencies that empower you to solve real-world problems and add immense value in any industry. It's about acquiring knowledge that you can immediately put into action, knowledge that makes you an indispensable asset. It's about understanding that while a broad education is valuable, the ability to do something specific and useful is often the direct path to financial independence and success. And this brings me to what I consider the ultimate tool Barnum advocates for: even if he doesn't explicitly name it as such. A well-informed, practical mind. Your brain, sharpened by useful knowledge and equipped with the wisdom to select and apply the best tools, is your greatest asset. It's the mind that discerns which investments will pay off, which skills are worth cultivating, and how to adapt when circumstances change. It's the mind that sees opportunities where others see obstacles. Barnum's entire philosophy points to this continuous process of self-improvement and practical application. It's not just about accumulating facts, it's about developing the wisdom to synthesize those facts into actionable strategies. It's about becoming a lifelong learner, always striving to improve your craft, always seeking knowledge that enhances your ability to create value and solve problems. This practical, agile, and continuously learning mind truly is the golden tool for money getting, ensuring you're always ready to seize the next opportunity and navigate any challenge on the path to financial prosperity. Alright, so we've talked about ambition, about seizing opportunity. But what happens when you actually get there? When you start seeing some real success? That's where P.T. Barnum drops a truth bomb that, frankly, many of us still need to hear today. He calls this chapter simply, "Don't Get Above Your Business." And honestly, the title alone should make us sit up and listen. It's a powerful, no-nonsense reminder to stay grounded, to never let success inflate your ego to the point where you disrespect the very foundations that got you where you are. It's about humility, plain and simple, even when your bank account is anything but. Barnum's message here is crystal clear. No matter how big your enterprise grows, no matter how many employees you hire, you, the owner, the entrepreneur, need to remain intimately familiar with every single detail of your operation. He believed that a man who is ashamed of his business, or too proud to understand its nitty-gritty workings, is fundamentally ashamed of himself. That's a pretty profound statement, isn't it? It suggests that our work, our business, is an extension of who we are, and to distance ourselves from it out of some misguided sense of superiority is to diminish ourselves. He wasn't shy about sharing cautionary tales either, stories that echo through time and still resonate. Think about the rich old gentleman, a tanning business owner, who accumulated a vast fortune through hard, practical work. His sons, however, looked down on the family trade. They wanted to be gentlemen lawyers, doctors, but lacked the necessary education and grit to pursue those paths successfully. They refused to dirty their hands with the tannery business, seeing it as beneath them. And what happened? They squandered their inheritance, quickly finding themselves penniless, all because they felt they were too good for the very work that had made their father successful. Don't get above your business, Barnum reiterates. It's a direct consequence of arrogance. Then there's the story of the tailor. Started small, built a thriving business, bought a beautiful house. Success. But then, he started feeling he was above the practical work of cutting cloth himself. He delegated this crucial task to subordinates, stepping back from the very skill that had distinguished his establishment. Slowly but surely, the quality declined. His old loyal customers noticed, and one by one, they took their business elsewhere. Before he knew it, his once flourishing enterprise began to wither. These aren't just quaint stories from the 19th century. They're timeless lessons on the importance of staying involved, of respecting the sweat and effort that built your success. Barnum isn't saying you can't delegate, but he is saying you must always keep your eye on the ball, understand the practicalities, and never become so detached that you lose touch with the core value you provide. It's about remembering that the foundation of your prosperity wasn't built on airs and graces, but on solid work, attention to detail, and often, getting your hands dirty. And this leads us naturally to a crucial modern interpretation of "don't get above your business." When you start believing you're too important for the practical details, you often start spending like you're above practical budgets too. Lavish personal spending, flaunting newfound wealth without a thought to its source or sustainability, is often a clear signal that you've lost touch with the value of a dollar. It's a manifestation of that same arrogance, the belief that the rules no longer apply to you, because you've made it. Barnum would tell us that such behavior isn't just financially risky, it's a direct path to the same ruin faced by the tailor and the tanning family sons. Stay humble. Stay involved. Stay sharp. Because the moment you think you're above the work often finds a way to remind you just how quickly things can unravel. Alright, welcome back everyone. Today we're really digging into something crucial from Barnum's Golden Rules, Chapter 7, The Power of Concentrated Effort. And I have to say, this one resonates deeply with me because it's so incredibly easy to fall headfirst into the very trap he warns us about. Barnum kicks off this section with a fundamental truth that many of us, myself included, often overlook: do not scatter your powers. It's so tempting to start something, get distracted, and then jump to the next appealing idea. But Barnum paints a picture that's so vivid, it instantly makes sense and really drives the point home. Think about a magnifying glass. If you just wave it around aimlessly, the sun's rays are dispersed, right? They don't do much more than warm the air. But if you hold that glass steady, focusing those same scattered rays into one tiny, intense point, what happens? You can start a fire. That, my friends, is the incredible, often underestimated, power of concentration. Barnum argues that our efforts are exactly the same. If we're constantly dabbling in half a dozen different things, chasing every new shiny object that pops up on our radar, we risk becoming a jack of all trades and, more often than not, a master of none. Our energy, our time, our precious resources, they're spread too thin to achieve anything truly significant. It's like trying to dig 10 shallow wells instead of one deep one. You'll likely end up with 10 muddy holes and not a drop of usable water. He really wants us to focus our energy upon one particular pursuit, until we are thoroughly master of it, until we truly understand its ins and outs. But here's the crucial balance Barnum brings in. He tells us to let hope predominate, but be not too visionary. This isn't a call for pessimism, far from it. He wants us to be enthusiastic, to believe in our potential and our ventures, but that enthusiasm has to be firmly grounded in reality, not built on what he calls the baseless fabric of a vision. How many times have we, or someone we know, been swept up by a splendid speculation or a magnificent opportunity that, in hindsight, was nothing more than a splendid delusion? Barnum saw this happening even in his day. He's cautioning us against those alluring get-rich-quick schemes, those too good to be true ventures that promise immense returns with little effort or real-world foundation. He wants us to calculate carefully, observe the facts, and apply sound judgment. Hope is absolutely essential, but blind hope, disconnected from reality, is genuinely dangerous. This leads us to the core contrast he draws: the methodical, focused work on one or two solid ventures versus the restless chase after every new opportunity. Barnum had little patience for those who spent their time continually hunting for some grand opportunity to make a fortune at a single jump. He describes these individuals as often being lazy, avoiding the hard, persistent, methodical labor that truly builds wealth. They're looking for a shortcut, a shady street where money grows on bushes, rather than cultivating their own garden with diligent daily effort. The truth, as Barnum wisely observes, is that success, genuine lasting success, rarely comes from a lucky break, but from steady, persistent, methodical labor. It's about showing up, doing the work, and staying committed day in and day out. And this brings us to his final, incredibly practical piece of advice for this chapter: stick to your core business until it is firmly established. This is a big one, perhaps the most critical takeaway. It's so tempting, once you get a little traction in one area, to suddenly think, oh, I could also launch X, develop Y, and invest in Z! Barnum says, hold your horses. If you've got a good business, a venture that's working, stick to it, master it, build it until it stands on solid ground, undeniable in its stability. Don't let ambition or the lure of something seemingly better pull you away from a good thing for an uncertainty. Many people, he warned, have ruined a perfectly good, established business by being carried away by the idea they could make a better business of something else, only to lose both ventures entirely. Focus, build, solidify, then, and only then, maybe, carefully expand. But first, plant that flag deep and make sure it's rooted. Alright, so we've talked a lot about getting started, about perseverance, about being savvy. But none of that truly sticks, none of it truly builds into something lasting, without the bedrock principle Barnum lays out so clearly in the chapter he titles simply, Be Systematic. This isn't just a suggestion, it's an absolute, non-negotiable requirement for anyone serious about building a sustainable business, or even just managing their personal finances effectively. Barnum isn't talking about being a neat freak, though a tidy desk certainly doesn't hurt. No, when he urges us to be systematic, he's talking about something far deeper, a fundamental approach to how you structure your work and your life. He gives us that timeless adage, doesn't he? A place for everything, and everything in its place. Now, think about that for a moment. It's not just about where you put your stapler. It's about creating an inherent order to every aspect of your operations, so that things don't just happen, but they happen on purpose. Let's unpack that a bit. How does this system manifest? Well, first off, in time management. Barnum emphasizes having a regular time for everything. Imagine trying to run a business where you constantly wonder when you'll deal with emails, or when you'll review inventory, or when you'll meet with clients. That's not running a business, that's playing whack-a-mole. By dedicating specific times for specific tasks, you eliminate that mental overhead. You know exactly what you should be doing, and when. This clarity is a superpower. Then there's the absolute critical element of accounting and record keeping. Barnum tells us, if you are a merchant, keep your books in order, have your receipts and documents so that you can turn to them at a moment's notice. This is paramount. How can you make smart decisions about spending, about investment, about growth, if you have no clear picture of your financial reality? If your invoices are scattered and your expenses undocumented, you're flying blind. A solid system here isn't just good practice, it's survival. It allows you to see the patterns, identify inefficiencies, and understand your true profit and loss, not just a vague feeling about it. And this systematic approach extends to your daily operations, to every cog in the machine. It's about clearly defined processes for how orders are handled, how customer inquiries are addressed, how products are stocked. It's not just for you, it applies to your employees too. If you have a clerk or a partner, Barnum insists you have him systematic as well. Because one disorganized link in the chain can bring the whole operation to a grinding halt. Barnum vividly describes the merchant who doesn't methodize his business as someone who throws documents everywhere, ultimately unable to find what they need, leading to frustration and wasted effort. Sounds familiar, right? We've all been there, searching desperately for that one crucial piece of information. And this is where the magic really happens. When your business has a clear system, when everything has its place and its time, you're not constantly putting out fires. You're not spending precious mental energy trying to remember where you put that contract, or if you paid that bill, or what needs to be done next. All that cognitive load, all that decision fatigue that comes from chaos, evaporates. It frees up your mind. It frees up your energy. It allows you to step back from the daily churn and actually think, to innovate, to plan for the future, to focus on growth strategies rather than getting bogged down in the endless, energy-sapping mess of disorganization. Barnum's message here is profound because it's a blueprint for efficiency, for clarity, and ultimately, for sustainable success. Without order, without a system, you're not building, you're just piling things up, hoping they don't collapse. Be systematic. It's not just good advice, it's the very foundation upon which any lasting wealth is built. Welcome back, my friends. We're diving headfirst into Chapter 9 of Barnum's Timeless Wisdom, a chapter I've titled Staying Informed and Avoiding Distractions. And honestly, this one feels more relevant today than ever before, even though Barnum wrote it well over a century ago. Barnum, ever the pragmatist, has a fantastic little rule tucked away in here: read the newspapers. Now, before you picture him with his spectacles perched on his nose, poring over a broadsheet by gaslight, let's translate that for our modern age. For Barnum, the newspaper was the internet of his day. It was how you knew what was happening in the world, what new opportunities were bubbling up, what economic shifts were on the horizon, and most importantly, what was going on in your specific industry. Think about it. If you were running a dry goods store in Barnum's time, reading the papers would tell you about new trade routes opening up, changes in tariffs, crop failures that might affect supply, or even just the latest fashion trends that customers might be asking for. It was about staying current, keeping your finger on the pulse, and being aware of the environment in which your money-getting endeavors were operating. Today, this translates to so much more than just the morning headlines. It means actively engaging with industry news, subscribing to newsletters relevant to your field, following thought leaders, and understanding economic forecasts. It's about being informed enough to make smart decisions, to spot trends, and to anticipate challenges. It's about knowing your market, inside and out. Barnum understood that ignorance is not bliss when it comes to your financial well-being. Being informed is a foundational pillar of successful money-getting. But here's where Barnum, with his uncanny foresight, adds a crucial caveat. There's a fine line between being informed and being distracted. He wasn't advocating for endlessly scrolling through every tidbit of gossip or political drama. He was talking about relevant information. And this brings us to the flip side of the coin, the absolute imperative to avoid distractions, particularly what he calls outside operations. Barnum issues a pretty severe warning against these. He says, and I'm paraphrasing here, don't let yourself be drawn away from your main business by outside operations or speculative ventures that you don't fully understand. He saw countless people, ambitious and well-meaning, get sidetracked and ultimately ruined by chasing what looked like easy money in fields they knew nothing about. Imagine someone running a successful bakery, but then they hear about a newfangled scheme to invest in a distant silver mine, or a new type of steamboat engine. They pull their capital, and more importantly, their attention, away from their thriving bakery, to dabble in something completely alien to them. Barnum warns fiercely against this. He says, stick to your legitimate business. He emphasizes that your main business, the one you understand, the one you've built, is your greatest asset. It's where your expertise lies, where your network is, and where your real potential for growth resides. These outside operations are the speculative side hustles that look shiny and promising but often turn out to be quicksand. They distract you, dilute your efforts, and often drain your resources. Barnum's message is crystal clear: focus your energy, your capital, and your intellect on what you know best. The modern equivalent. It's the entrepreneur with a growing e-commerce business who suddenly decides to sink all their profits and time into day trading cryptocurrencies they don't truly grasp, or trying to launch a completely unrelated app, because it's the next big thing. It's the constant temptation to chase every shiny new object that promises a quick buck, instead of diligently nurturing the venture that's already proving its worth. Barnum essentially tells us to stick to our knitting. If you're a knitter, knit. Don't try to suddenly become a blacksmith just because you heard blacksmiths are making a fortune this week. Focus on honing your craft, understanding your market deeply, and expanding within your established expertise. That's where true, sustainable wealth is built. So, in summary, Barnum's advice in this chapter is a powerful two-punch combination. Be diligently informed about your world and your industry, using all the tools available to you. But simultaneously, protect your focus fiercely. Resist the siren song of outside operations. Stay anchored to your main business, the one you understand, the one you've poured your heart and soul into. Stick to your knitting. It's the path to consistent, rather than sporadic, money-getting. And with that clear directive on focus, we'll move on to our next chapter, where Barnum gives us even more practical wisdom. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into Chapter 10 of Barnum's Guide, a chapter I've titled The Megaphone Making Your Business Known. If you've ever heard of P.T. Barnum, you probably associate him with showmanship and spectacle. Well, this chapter is where he really puts his money where his mouth is, arguing that having a great product, a fantastic service, or even the best intentions, are utterly useless if no one knows about them. Barnum is direct, almost shouting from the pages, advertise your business. He kicks off by stating what he considers an even more self-evident truth than money making money: advertising makes money. It's a bold claim, but one he backs up with incredible conviction. He makes a brilliant comparison, saying that advertising is like plowing. Think about it. When a farmer plows his field, he doesn't expect a harvest the very next day. He puts in the sustained effort, plants the seeds, perhaps different kinds, some taking longer to germinate than others, and then patiently waits and tends, knowing that eventually, a golden harvest will come. Barnum saw advertising the exact same way. It's an investment of sustained effort, scattering those informational seeds that will, in due time, yield results. Many fail, he suggests, because they don't appreciate this patient, persistent truth. They advertise once or twice, see no immediate return, and give up, essentially letting their planted seeds wither and their potential harvest vanish. Barnum insists that you must be bold, persistent, and eye-catching with your promotion. Hiding your light under a bushel, as the old saying goes, is the surest path to obscurity and failure. He talks about people with first-rate articles who would simply sit down and wait for customers to magically discover them. That, he declares, is foolishness. You must make your business known or nobody will buy from you. Your message, he advises, should be plain, straightforward, easy to understand, and truthful, attracting attention and being remembered. He even goes so far as to suggest that if you have but $1, you should advertise with it. Not save it, not spend it on something else, but invest it in making yourself known. It's a powerful testament to his belief in its absolute necessity, especially for those starting with limited capital. To him, the lack of funds wasn't an excuse not to advertise, but even more reason to advertise. Now fast forward to today. While we may not be putting up posters or taking out newspaper ads in the same way, Barnum's core principles are more relevant than ever. Think about modern marketing, social media, for instance. It's all about consistent presence, engaging content, and making your brand visible. That's Barnum's bold and persistent approach, just digitized. Our posts and stories are our constant billboards, our digital town criers. Content creation, whether it's YouTube videos, blog posts, or podcasts, is our modern equivalent of judicious advertising, providing value, sharing expertise, and establishing authority, effectively sowing those seeds for a future harvest. Even something like search engine optimization, or SEO, is about ensuring that when someone is looking for what you offer, your light isn't hidden under a digital bushel. Barnum understood that the world is noisy, and to get heard, you need a megaphone. And that megaphone, then as now, is smart, consistent, and memorable advertising. It's about building a reputation, attracting attention, and crucially, keeping it, ensuring your efforts don't wither on the vine. It's about not just being good, but being known. You know, when we talk about making money, especially in business, our minds often jump to strategies, investments, or marketing. But Barnum, ever the shrewd observer of human nature, understood something far more fundamental, something that still holds true today: the power of human connection, of simple kindness. He saw good relationships, particularly with those who keep your business afloat, your customers, as the absolute bedrock of a long-lasting enterprise. It's a point that, frankly, can feel a bit old-fashioned in our fast-paced, sometimes impersonal, world, yet it's more vital than ever. Barnum dedicated a whole section to this, which he titled, quite simply, "Be polite and kind to your customers." And if you read it, you realize it's not just a suggestion for good manners, it's a direct instruction for smart business. He wasn't shy about pointing out that politeness and kindness aren't just admirable traits. They are, in his words, capital in business. Think about that for a moment. He equated good behavior with actual money, with a tangible asset. It's a powerful idea. He hammers home the point that a man can absolutely smile and be a gentleman and still be a shrewd businessman. It's not an either/or situation, is it? We often mistake toughness for effectiveness, but Barnum saw through that. Being kind doesn't mean you're weak or easily taken advantage of, quite the opposite. It means you're intelligent enough to understand the subtle, yet powerful psychology of human interaction. This simple act of politeness, he argued, costs you absolutely nothing. Not a penny, not a moment of your precious time that isn't ultimately an investment. Yet, its returns, its potential yields, are enormous. It's like investing in a stock that only goes up, with no buy-in. A kind word, a friendly demeanor, a genuine willingness to listen — these aren't just pleasantries, they are powerful tools. They build bridges, not walls, creating an inviting atmosphere that keeps people coming back, eager to engage with you and your business. He gives the example of a rude businessman, constantly wondering why he wasn't succeeding, driving away potential patrons with every harsh word and gruff action. Barnum contrasts this with the profound impact of a positive customer experience. Imagine a single kind word spoken to a customer, a moment of genuine helpfulness. Barnum insists this might bring them back 100 times over. And not just them, but they'll become your best evangelists. They'll send their friends, their family, their colleagues to you. This isn't just loyalty, it's organic, powerful word-of-mouth advertising, the kind of promotion you simply can't buy at any price. In today's world, it translates to positive reviews, social media shout-outs, and a reputation that spreads like wildfire, all because someone felt genuinely valued and respected. It stems from a deep human connection, a feeling of being truly seen and appreciated. For Barnum, treating customers well wasn't merely about adhering to some societal code of conduct. It was fundamental to financial success. He understood that the customer, in choosing your goods or services, is actually doing you a favor, not the other way around. This shift in perspective is crucial. It changes the dynamic entirely. When you approach every interaction with that mindset, that you are grateful for their business, it naturally fosters an environment of respect and appreciation. He tells us to treat every customer as if they were our most important customer. No matter their background, their perceived status, or the size of their purchase. Because in that moment, they are the most important person in your business world. That philosophy of generous, respectful engagement wasn't just good manners, it was, unequivocally, good business. It built empires. And it still does. After exploring all the practical, often shrewd, and sometimes surprising advice Barnum has for us, from choosing the right vocation to advertising shrewdly, to avoiding debt and relying on your own independent efforts, he culminates his entire philosophy with a chapter that, in my opinion, underpins everything else. It's titled simply, yet profoundly, Preserve Your Integrity. And if you take nothing else away from Barnum's golden rules, this is the absolute capstone, the bedrock upon which all other success truly stands, immutable and essential. Barnum isn't just talking about avoiding outright fraud here, though that's certainly a fundamental part of it. He's talking about a deeper, more fundamental honesty in every interaction. He states, quite plainly, that your reputation, or character, is the most important capital you can possibly possess. Think about that for a moment. Not your bank balance, not your property, not your stock portfolio, but your good name, your trustworthiness, your moral standing in the community. It's what allows people to trust you with their money, their business, their future endeavors. Without it, he argues, any financial gains you make are inherently fleeting, built on quicksand. You might make a fortune through dubious means in the short term, but as Barnum himself observed, men who achieve this often lose it just as quickly, precisely because they lack the integrity and moral fortitude to sustain their prosperity. It's about building something that endures, something that can withstand the tests of time and temptation. Your integrity, your honor, is your most valuable, indeed, non-negotiable asset. It's the silent partner in every successful venture, the unwritten guarantee that keeps customers coming back and partners investing their trust. But Barnum's vision for the successful life doesn't stop at personal integrity alone. He extends it outward, to the community, to humanity itself. This is where his advice takes a truly beautiful, and often unexpected turn for someone primarily associated with showmanship and profit. He speaks passionately about charity, urging a mindful approach to accumulated wealth. For Barnum, the pursuit of wealth wasn't merely for personal aggrandizement or selfish hoarding. He saw it as a powerful means to do good, to uplift. The poor and the unfortunate are our brethren, he declares, a powerful reminder of our shared humanity, our shared origins, and our collective responsibility. He urges his readers, once they achieve financial comfort, not to hoard their wealth like a dragon. Instead, he advocates using it wisely and, critically, generously. Do not hoard it, but use it to do good with, he writes, then offers a truly fascinating and counterintuitive perspective. The more you give, the more you will have to give. This isn't just a spiritual or moral platitude. For Barnum, it seems to be an observation rooted in the dynamics of generosity fostering more opportunity, more goodwill, a stronger community network, and perhaps even more profound personal and professional satisfaction. He suggests setting aside a tenth, or even a 20th, of one's earnings for charitable purposes, making it a systematic part of one's financial planning. It's a compelling call to action, a reminder that true prosperity includes giving back, lifting others up, and actively working to make the world a little better than you found it. So, when we look back at all of P.T. Barnum's Art of Money Getting, we realize it's much more than just a dry treatise on making a buck, or a collection of tips for the aspiring capitalist. It's a comprehensive guide to building a life of purpose, resilience, and genuine contribution. For Barnum, the art of money getting was intrinsically and inextricably linked to the art of living a good, honorable, and ultimately, a profoundly meaningful life. It's a testament to the timeless idea that true success isn't just measured in dollars and cents, but in the unwavering character you build, the impeccable reputation you uphold, and the positive impact you consistently have on the lives of others. And that, I think, is a message that resonates just as powerfully today as it did over a century ago, offering enduring wisdom for anyone seeking not just wealth, but a well-lived existence. All right, so we've spent some time exploring Barnum's brilliant, sometimes surprising insights. But what good is wisdom if we don't put it into practice? That's exactly why I've distilled his 19th century gold into a modern, actionable, 7-day challenge for you. Think of this as your personal boot camp to begin mastering the art of money getting Barnum style. Each day builds on the last, giving you concrete steps to transform your approach to wealth, work, and reputation. Let's dive in and truly make these golden rules your own. Day 1. Vocation Audit. Barnum firmly believed that the first step to success was to select some honorable and useful occupation, and to stick to it with all your might. He wasn't talking about just any job, but one that truly resonated. For your first step, I want you to set aside just 30 minutes today. Grab a pen and paper, or open a new document, and honestly write down where your current skills and passions genuinely align. Are you truly in the right field? Is there a subtle nudge inside you pointing towards a different path, or perhaps a different approach within your current one? Barnum knew that an engaged mind in a fitting vocation would always outpace a disengaged one. This isn't about quitting your job tomorrow, but about honest self-reflection, seeing if your current pursuit truly leverages your greatest strengths and sparks your inherent drive. Day 2 and 3. Debt Destroyer. Barnum was unequivocal on this: get out of debt and keep out of debt. He saw debt as a heavy yoke, a significant obstacle to true freedom and progress. He called it a millstone around the neck, something that actively hampers your ability to seize opportunities and accumulate wealth. For these next 2 days, I want you to identify just one debt, perhaps a credit card balance, a small personal loan, or even just a recurring subscription you no longer need but forgot to cancel. Create a concrete plan, however small, to pay it down faster. The goal isn't to clear it all immediately, but to make one extra payment, no matter how tiny, or take one definitive action to reduce its hold. Can you find $5 to put toward it today? Barnum would tell you that every single penny saved from interest, every step towards financial independence, is a monumental victory. This isn't just about money, it's about reclaiming your mental and financial freedom. Day 4. Systematize your day. Barnum, a showman by trade, knew the power of order and efficiency, even if he didn't use the word systematize. His advice to stick to it with all your might and whatever you do with all your might implicitly encourages finding the most effective ways to work. Today, pick one recurring task in your daily or weekly routine, something you do often. Maybe it's sending follow-up emails, planning your meals, or preparing for a meeting. Now, create a simple, repeatable system or checklist for it. How can you streamline it, make it more efficient, or even automate parts of it? By bringing structure to just one area, you free up valuable mental bandwidth and energy, allowing you to direct your might towards more impactful activities, just as Barnum would have wanted. This small step can lead to significant gains in productivity and reduce mental fatigue. Day 5. Advertise yourself. Barnum, the undisputed master of promotion, famously declared, "Advertise your business." But in the modern age, your business is often you. Today, Your challenge is to post something online that showcases your professional value. This isn't about bragging, but about sharing your expertise, your successes, or simply the value you bring to your work. Did you recently complete a project you're proud of? Share a lesson learned. Did you help a client achieve a great result? Mention it. Did you acquire a new skill? Let your network know. Barnum understood that if you had value, you needed to make it known. Don't hide your light under a bushel. Use LinkedIn, a professional group, or even a well-crafted email to your network. This is about establishing and reinforcing your personal brand, broadcasting your capabilities, and inviting new opportunities. Day 6, Customer Connection. Barnum put immense stock in politeness, kindness, and building relationships, stating, "Be polite and kind to everybody, and always accommodate your patrons, and you will make friends." He understood that goodwill was an invaluable asset, more lasting than any single transaction. Today, go out of your way to be exceptionally polite and helpful to one customer, client, or even a colleague. This isn't about going above and beyond on a grand scale, but focusing on the small, often overlooked gestures, a genuine thank you, an offer of assistance, active listening, or simply a warm, sincere interaction. See what difference this intentional act of kindness makes, not just for them, but for your own sense of connection and the potential long-term benefits that Barnum knew were paramount to lasting success. Day 7, Integrity Check. Finally, on our last day, we tackle perhaps Barnum's most fundamental principle: honesty is the best policy. He insisted that never misrepresent anything, and that integrity was the bedrock upon which all lasting success was built. Without it, you might make a quick buck, but you'd never build a reputation or true wealth. Today, I want you to reflect on a recent business decision you made, big or small. Was it handled with complete honesty? Were all your communications transparent and forthright? Take a moment to genuinely consider if you acted in a way that would make Barnum proud. If there was any gray area, how can you improve in the future? This isn't about self-recrimination, but about cultivating a deep-seated commitment to honesty in every facet of your professional life, building the kind of trust that Barnum knew was essential for enduring prosperity. And there you have it, your 7-day journey into the heart of Barnum's art of money getting. This isn't just about making more money, it's about building a life of purpose, integrity, and genuine influence. By taking these small, consistent steps, you're not just reading Barnum's advice, you're living it. Keep practicing these principles, and watch how your world begins to shift.